Hello, everyone. I will wait for a few seconds. So, I hope you all are doing well. I know on the East Coast it's pretty cold right now, and you are all staying safe and warm. And and I hope you enjoyed today's session. I think today's session, if I have to, as a coach, describe you to all, is one of the most prominent, significant session. And most of my clients, I think I would say 60 to 70% of the people, they have this issue what we'll be talking about today. So that's why I wanted to take up this topic today and discuss it with you all, that what all you can do if you're facing any of these issues. So as the topic says, the polite ways to say no, master the art of declining. So most of you will agree with me over here that some point of time in our lives we are not able to say no politely. Now I'm saying politely because people either say it little rudely, or they mean it, they don't mean it. I mean, there could be lots of things which we'll be discussing about, and they also feel guilty about it. So these are the things which should not be happening. Okay, so what I'll be talking about, what you could do where you say no or you decline something, and number one, you don't feel guilty about it. Number two, uh, you get into the practice of saying it. It's very important. So I'll be explaining the science part of it, the psychological part of it, and then why are you doing it all the time, that as well. Okay, because I want you to understand why are you not able to say no to the people, and then eventually what you become, a people pleaser. Right, we all have seen there's so many people who like to please everybody around them. I mean, they don't need to, but they do. Right, then you become a people pleaser. So in this session, by the end of the session, you're more than welcome to ask me any questions on regarding today's topic. And as you all know, I come here on the weekly basis to basically discuss a topic with you and give you a glimpse of coaching sessions, how we work with the people, what they are dealing with, their internal issues, right? And help them out to come out of it very technically, very strategically, so that if you're talking about a mental health here, right? So we need to be really, really careful with it. So with that, let's get started with today's topic, which is polite ways to say no, master your art of declining something. So before we get into that, what you should be doing, let's try to understand the science behind saying no. So, when you say no to something, or no to a person, or no to a project, or no to that new car, or no to that new dress you want to buy, or no to that new jewelry you want to buy, or no to that new, any car you want to buy, any of those sorts, right? That empowers you somewhere. So, I'll talk in details little later. And it almost or always gives you an opportunity to set the right boundaries towards that thing which you're trying to say or decline to. So understand this. Okay. Now let's say if I say no to the temptation of buying a new car. So what am I doing here? So if I say no, right? So somewhere in my mind I know I want to, but then I also said no to it. So I'm avoiding the temptation, and that positively impacts your mental health. Please try to understand, everything impacts your mental health. That's why we'll get into details of each and everything, why you are not able to say no to either family, friends, co-workers, bosses, boyfriend, girlfriends, relationships. You can pick any, right? So if you start to understand the science behind it, you will be able to understand where are you lacking. So self-worth is connected to your saying no. I'll explain to you how. So what is a self-worth? We all know that it is our internal knowing, it is our internal sense that we are good enough, right? And we are worthy of love, and we belong here, belonging to others. So now you see, when you say no to something, a person, uh, any object, or anything, what are you doing here? You know your worth well, right? Correct? So that's why you're able to say no more confidently. Now let's come to the confidence part of it. So, what is a confidence? So, these are all interrelated. So, confidence is nothing where you trust your abilities, right? And you know yourself. So, you're trusting yourself. If I said something about this person, or if I do something about this project, or if I do something about this thing which I'm planning to buy and I'm saying no to it, so what are you doing? You're building your self confidence. Now, self worth is you already know, it's an internal knowing that I'm good enough. Confidence, when you start to trust yourself, and that can only come if you start practicing saying no on the consistent basis. We'll talk about it. Now, here comes the third part of it. When you're not able to say no to anybody, or you become a people pleaser, self esteem. Now, how self esteem is all related to it. So, self esteem is all about your image, how you perceive yourself in front of others. Okay, how you value yourself. Now, one is trusting yourself, one is already knowing that you're good enough, and one is how you're perceiving yourself. So, what image are you showing it to people? Correct? That is the self esteem. So these are all interrelated. And that's why, if any of this is low, which I would talk about a little later, what you would feel, you will have hesitancy to say no to either to your boss, to your spouse, to your friends, to family. I mean, anyone easily, right? You will feel guilty about, even if you say no to somebody, you'll feel strong guilt about it. Oh, why did I say no? Oh, she was inviting me to a party, oh, I said no. Oh, what will other people will think? And all sorts of things, right? So, what is happening when your self esteem, your self worth, and your self confidence on the lower side? Because these are the biggest attributes you need to develop upon. As a coach, I can tell you 70, 60 to 70% of my clients had these issues. One of these issues was they were very low on these areas. That's why they were not able to stand up for themselves. Correct? And when you build upon them, so what you need to, when we talk about the confidence, if you see confident person, what do you see? A confident person shows, number one, they have a control over their life. Whether it could be relationships, it could be finances, it could be career, it could be friends, close friends, family, everybody. Okay, so they are showing you that they are coming from a place of confidence where they have a control, and also they're very familiar with their strengths, which I call as 3S and 3 weaknesses. I talk a lot about this. At any point of time, you should be able to describe your 3 strengths and 3 weaknesses. You should be always familiar with that. So please start practicing that as well. So start to write your 3 weaknesses and 3 strengths, and you should be very familiar with that at any point of time. Okay? It's not that like I'll do it tomorrow. You should not do that. You should always know your 3S and 3Ws. So moving on to this, again, we're all talking about the science part of it, what it does to our brain. Now I'll be telling you in details when you say no, or this, or you actually try to build upon a consistently saying no, what it does to your brain. So the cognitive control, we know consciously, when you say no to something, it changes your mind, it changes something in your brain, some chemicals, I'll talk about it now. So it changes something in your mind. You feel more empowered immediately. Okay, let me give you an example. When, let's say, somebody is trying to call, to a party and you're not comfortable with few people in the party, and you say no, I'm sorry, I won't be able to do it. What it does, it gives you that boost and empowerment back. I hope I was able to explain that well. So that's what we are talking about. And what it does in now, the other effect stage would come, it reduces the stress. Correct? And then what it does, it boosts your self image, what you perceive about yourself. So you took a decision, okay, I don't need to go here. I don't need to participate in something where I'm not comfortable. So it immediately boosts up your self image, hence later self confidence and self worth. So you already know about yourself. And what all it does is you become very good in decision making. So you exactly know when to say no to somebody. Your decisions become more empowered. Your decisions become more informed. Okay? And all this does what? Great relationships, good connection with the people. Because somebody would see you with a person of integrity. Okay, she knows or he knows when to say no and when to say yes, and they stand by it. So let, even if I'm saying this, that is powerful, right? When you see somebody, either your friend, family, co-workers, when you know somebody, wow, this person is pretty good, they stand for what they say. Okay, I'll come to that as well. But these are the cognitive things or the psychological cognitive things which are happening. Now, let's move on to the psychological things. Why the factors related to no are so important. So, most of the times, I have seen people are not able to say no to somebody or some project, whether it's in working environment or it's professional or in the personal lives, is social norms. So they get under a lot of peer pressure or coworker pressure, when they say, oh, if I say no, if I stand for something, but how would I look in other people's? Again, now we are talking about self-esteem. So your self-esteem is low, you're perceiving other people's values about you, other people how they want to see, that is your self-esteem. Your self-worth is low because you're not confident enough, you feel that you are not good enough, and of course your confidence is low. So all of them, you need to work each one of them. It's not one of them, each one of them in details. Okay. Now, fear of conflict. So when you are not able to say no to anybody, to your friend, what is that? You're avoiding the conflict. But I tell you what, some conflicts are good conflicts. Okay. I don't know how people say, what do you mean by that? Some conflicts you need to stand for. They're good conflicts, okay? Where you're showing your worth to the people, your again self-esteem, your values. So let's say if you stand for something, your values, let's say you're a kind person, right? And you should be kind to the people who are kind to you. But should you be kind to the people who are not kind to you? Right? So just think about these things. Okay, so people who are kind to you, you should be 100% kind to them. I have no issues. Some of my clients ask the same thing and I explain to them the way I'm explaining to you all right now. But the people who are not kind to you, should you be still polite to them or kind to them? Yes, you can be, but in an assertive way, which I'll talk how we can overcome this issue of how we can say no. And the third one is the most common, I think almost I would say majority of my clients has this issue, people pleasing. So if you like something, I like it, right? If you don't like something, I don't like it. How impossible is that, right? Because you are giving yourself to somebody 100%. But people think it's normal, like just to please people, just to get into their good books. And psychologically, their brain is going crazy because that's against their values, their worth, their confidence. They're saying, why am I doing that? And when they do the people pleasing, and when they're back to their homes, they say, what did I do? And they feel guilty and shameful. They have internal conflict going on with themselves. How many people you've seen when they go back home, after doing some or making some decisions which was not aligned with their own values, they come back and they are like struggling to get out of that part, and then probably they opt for something. So these are the things we are trying to avoid. And that's why you are not able to say no to people. You become a people pleaser a lot. And then you don't even realize subconsciously you're doing it again, again, again. So it's like you have to please everybody around you other than you. Who you truly are, what you truly want, and what you can stand for. Okay? So you become a diplomat. Who's a diplomat? A diplomat is a person where in the bigger negotiations you need a diplomat. Don't get me wrong here. Some bigger between countries and all that, you do need a diplomat. But you cannot be diplomat always. So, like, for instance, I'm Geeta, I'm a coach. Whatever I tell you and come here, if I tell you I am a writer, a florist, that won't make sense, right? You would say, my channel says something, and what is she talking about? Correct? So you have to stand for yourself. Okay, you have to learn that what truly matters to you. If I'm passionate about coaching people, helping them out, making them more empowered, making transforming their lives, so and so forth, then that's who I am. I cannot shy away from that part. Okay, so try to understand how your self-worth, self-esteem, and self-confidence, they can really make you, or make you not say no, or make you say no. You really need to work upon all of them, not one of them. Okay. Now, let's talk about what it really does to the brain. So, when you consistently start saying no to something, you just do this exercise. Next couple of weeks, where you don't feel comfortable, where you feel that you're not aligned to the values of what you think who you are. First, you need to know who you truly are. That's why you do 3S, and you do your strengths, and 3Ws, your weaknesses. You should know your weaknesses as well. Okay. So, next 2 weeks, what you do, you just start to say no to the things which you feel you're not comfortable with. Okay. When you start doing that, what it does to your brain, let me explain it to you all. It shifts your brain. I'll not go into too much details, but it definitely shifts your brain to, can anybody say that? So now your brain is shifting, because now your brain is saying, wow, it's this person is resisting something. This person is doing something out of the comfort zone. It's he or she is saying, no, no, no. Your brain starts to think the situation. Correct? Your brain starts to think and react accordingly. Try it out. So I'm not going too much the science part of it, but I'm telling you, your brain starts to shift. So the critical thinking I talk about, that's what you start to analyze the situation. When you say no, your brain says, she said no to that project. And she's saying, I totally understand. Sorry, I cannot do it at this point of time, probably in the future. So, and she's relieved. So your brain says, wow, she's saying no and she's relieved. So it starts to shift. It starts to form a neural pathways, which would lead you to think. So some of my clients, I really find it very amazing, and I'll share it with you all. They have a hard time thinking about a situation or a relationship, or they're buying a house or buying a car or any of the financial. They have a hard time thinking. Now, thinking only can happen if you're challenging your brain. Correct? So it'll give you the signs of thinking more critically about a situation. Okay? So try it out. Next 2 weeks, where you are not comfortable, don't go to a party, don't hang out with friends, don't go out for drinks or whatever you need to do. Don't participate. Something. So start saying no. But I want you to do it multiple times in a week. So at least I would say 3 times to something which you feel comfortable about. Okay. So you start doing that, and then you'll start to see the shift in your brain. Your brain will resist big time. but please keep on doing. That's what I tell my clients as well. Okay, so your what becomes your decisions, your thinking, and your reaction to a situation becomes powerful. So that's what you're trying to build upon when you say no. I'm sorry, I totally understand, politely, but I cannot do this at this time, or I cannot meet you this time, something of that sort. Okay, we'll talk about it. All right, so let's move on to the next one. So let's say you are a beginner. So let's assume we are all beginners, right? And we need to understand what we need to do and how you can build upon saying no. So next 2 weeks, you are saying no to the things which you're not comfortable with. It could be just pick the sliders, which is not too significant, but you can try saying no. Okay. So other thing which is it's going to help you to build trusting yourself. So lot of people which I coach, they have a big trust issues. They don't trust themselves, they don't trust relationships, they don't trust anything on this earth to be honest, because they don't know how to connect to themselves and trusting themselves. Okay, so you're a beginner, so you started saying no to things. Okay, and you will find after few weeks that trust becomes very important to you, so you start to feel good about yourself in a way, self-worth and trusting, self-confidence. And now we are not working on self-esteem, we don't care what people say, so right now we are on the beginning stages, right? Stage number one, it's okay, let people say whatever they want to, oh wow, she's declining it, oh she's not coming to the party, or she's not going with the co-workers, so and so forth. They can make any stories out of it, we're okay with it. Okay, so we are not working with what people perceive us, we are still in the self-esteem, how to boost our that. So next stage, what you would do after you've done 10, 15 times next 2 weeks, or 10 times saying no, you will start to see you started to build a trust about yourself. Wow, I could do that. Some of my clients, they really have an aha moment like that. Wow, I said no to that person. Oh my gosh, how could I do that? I never thought of doing it that way. Something like that. That will build upon you. Okay. The first thing which will build upon you is your trusting yourself, which is going to be confidence. And that is, I don't know how many times I can say that, is the most important thing you're going to be building upon. Okay. So trusting yourself, number one. Number two, you'll be also getting some kind accustomed to your own worth, which is great. You will try to understand, why I was not able to do it earlier, but now I can. So that'll be number two. And number three would come your esteem, because I still, next 2 weeks, don't care about the people. Please do it. It's okay. Let them say whatever they want to say. Either they will say good things about you. Wow, this person has changed. You look quite changed now. A lot of people would say that, right? Oh, something is different about you, the things you will hear comments like that, but it's okay. It's about you not saying to the people to whom you really really wanted to say no to long time. And I tell you what, they could be family, they could be friends, and they could be co-workers. Please do that for yourself, because it takes a very long time to build that kind of confidence in you when you're trying to say no to the people. It's not that easy. I'll also explain it to you why you're going through this. And most of my clients, or the people who have issues of people pleasing, low confidence, low self worth, and low self esteem, they have, I will explain to you four parts. Why would they have it? Okay. So, number one is probably they had some childhood experiences or trauma where they were told that they are not good enough, or they were told that they could not do something which they were planning to do, or hoping to do, or excited to do. Any of those situations. Second one is people are being constantly very critical with them, and that started with their early childhood days and teenagers, and probably when they were adults. So they got used to people critically telling them something. Okay, especially with the relationships, that happens quite often when you will find, like, let's say, um, if your let's say your cousin is overpowering, right? They have a habit of saying, you don't do this right, you don't do this, something of that. It might be very minor comment to you, but that can still stay in your brain for a long time. They also had faced some financial issues, whether through the family or some kind of. So these are the major areas. When you come for the coaching, we look into deeply what is going on with you, right? So it looks simple that you are not able to say no to people, but beneath that, you're going through a lot of things, lot of. I tell you, average on average, when I'm working with a client, almost, I was telling one of my clients, I think a few days back, that I fill up with the notes 50 to 60 pages, the whole page, what they're trying to say, what they're trying to mean when they come for sessions. Each session is around 8 to 9. She just started. So you can imagine what is going on. There is so much more to the story, what we see, right? It's like an iceberg when we are working with you. So these could be the major issues, primarily related to something which you thought somebody casually said to you, oh, you are so dumb, but it gets somewhere in your subconscious mind. And that can create lots and lots of issues with you. Okay. So that is what I just wanted to touch upon, why it happens when you become a really people pleaser and you're not able to say no to things. Okay. Now let's move on to the other one. So now you would ask me, how can we become more confident, or how can we become more the person we want to become? So I think, if physiologically, like, I am a former scientist, so I'll explain the scientific part of it. Try to do few things. Okay, now physical body. Okay, try to do few things. What we are doing next 2 weeks, when you're saying no, try to do few things. Number one, hold on an assertive posture. So when you're trying to speak, like when I do my public speaking, I make sure that I hold on to assertive posture, like my shoulders are like balanced and I look. So try these if you can. Number two, these are all practical things which you can maintain an eye contact. Now, when you're saying either yes and more so no to someone, maintain an eye contact. So, what I want you to understand, your subconscious mind should get the signal from that other person when you said no to them, that it was taken well and you were able to do it. You see? So, I know you might not understand this right now, but I'm just giving you examples. Okay. The third one is hand gestures. So if you are not comfortable, if you're sweaty hands, some people do, oh, how would I say that? Oh, I have to go and do public speaking, 10, 15 people, my hands are sweaty, those anxiety issues. So work with your hand gestures. So try to speak with your hands. Okay. So try to control it if you want to. Okay. So these are the physical, physiological part you can do when you're trying to build confidence and you're trying to say no to someone. But looking into eyes is the utmost important. Okay. Now, what all you can do. Now, these are all physical part. Now we'll talk what all you can do. So let's say somebody requests you. So you can tell them, evaluate the request. So let's say somebody says, oh, can you come, can you go on tomorrow night with me? And so and so. Let's say it's a request. No, take your time. Evaluate the request. Any kind of request. If it's at the work, see what is it there in for you with that request. Always have that. Put yourself first. You are good enough. You are worthy enough. If that request is good for you, it'll flow, it'll be aligned. But if it is not, then let it go. Okay. Number two, what you could do, be direct and honest. See, I have seen so many people, they cannot be direct and honest. Let's say, now, direct and honest does not mean that you abuse somebody or you become rude with somebody, but you know how to put your points more firmly, more concisely, and also respecting other people. Okay? So remember that. Always put your points with the precision. Think of a precision when you're putting your points. Okay? Number three, stay consistent. Now, when you really want to come out of this people pleasing and not saying no and declining and all that, be consistent. Okay? Don't do it today and you forgot about it. Oh, sorry, I forgot it and all. I have to work with my clients almost 6 to almost a year or year and a half to get them out of this thing. Be consistent. Okay? Don't leave it in between. Okay? It won't work for you. All right? Politely, you can do it. I'm not available. I'm sorry about it. But can we do it some other time? Okay. Then, after that, number four, what you could do is use I statement. Now, put yourself first. I. Please remember this because you have forgotten to put yourself first. You have always put the other people's needs and values before you. Start saying I am sorry. I have other commitments. I cannot do this time. I totally understand this. Can we do this other time? I. Start doing this. I tell you, this will turn around for you. Give yourself enough importance to move away from something which is going to probably give you some mental challenges. Please understand this. I am sorry. I apologize. I cannot do this. Probably I can do it later. Something, whatever you want to do. Okay? If somebody is trying to influence you, overpower you, you can do this. Practice empathy. Now, make sure that you have a human side to you. I'm sorry to say that, but yes. That means that you will say, I totally understand where you are coming from and how can I politely still say no to that. All right? Because I know people tend to forget. Number six, know your priorities. Let's say you have two friends, one is close to you and one is not. Know your priorities. The person who's close to you, yes, the other person is no. But your mind would say, no, 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 let me get, I don't know that person. That might be even better than the first one. Know your priorities. Take your time. Okay? Your mind will play games with you. Like, again, you have to build the trust upon yourself. You have to build your confidence back. Take your time. Okay? So these are the things if you do, and the last two ones are the most important ones. Reflect on your past experiences where you were told or not allowed. You know why I tell my clients, and I'm telling you right now? Because this is very important. Probably they have the key to what your subconsciously is resisting a lot. So just do the little bit of reflection, not too much of it. But all these things, the last one is seek a help if you're still not able to get over this problem of saying no and people pleasing or declining politely to a situation in your life. Then you might need something more. And I think most of us do, by the way. This is all on the surface and very generalized. This will only work when we go into the deep of any situation. All right. So, oh, wow. That was a long session. So, thank you for being with me today. So, any questions you have? So, Olivia is asking me, how does cultural context influence the way we say no? Actually, Olivia, it does. But I've seen, Olivia, once you start trusting yourself, even culturally, you'll be still accepted when you want to say something and you want to say something which is not in the favor of that. So the trust is the most important because then you're standing with your values. And hopefully you're standing with your values regarding to your cultural issues or any of those issues. It's a trust factor. If you find something which is not aligned with you, where you need to look into your values, that's why you're having the big conflict. And that's why you're talking about the cultural things, right? Cultural does have an influence, but the influence can be contained in a way where it is, if it's not aligned with your values, it can be redefined for you. Okay, and you should be able to easily set boundaries to that. So one of the major issues when people are not able to say no, they are not aware of themselves. So work on yourself first, like three S's and three weaknesses. Just reflect everything what I talked today. Just see where are you at, where are you, probably thinking why you're not able to do it, right? Once you become confident, start trusting yourself, I can assure you, you'll be in a different, I would say, stage in your life where you, even for cultural issues, you'll be able to express them more firmly, more assertively, which I talk a lot about your point of views. Okay, so I hope I was able to answer your question. Ethan says hi. Ethan says agree. Thank you. Why does saying no feel uncomfortable? Because your brain is resisting. It's not used to it. Because when you say no, so like I said, the brain, in the brain, the shifting happens. I just explained it to you all, right? So it feels very uncomfortable. And you feel guilt about it because you have not built upon the three things which I talked about: the self worth, the self confidence, and self esteem. So your brain says, no, 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 don't say that. Please, please don't say that. They will feel bad. So the question becomes, they will feel bad, or she will feel bad, or he will feel bad. Your boss will feel bad. That's why you feel very uncomfortable. So there should not be any guilt if you have built upon those things. So when you say no, it means no. When you say yes, it means yes. So you are aligned with your own values, your own self worth, your own self esteem, and your own self confidence, right? That's why you feel uncomfortable, Ethan. So you need to pay attention to where you, any of these issues which I talked about, why are you feeling uncomfortable when you say no to something? It takes a lot of efforts to get to a stage of your life when you're comfortably saying no and not feeling guilty about it. It really does take a lot of efforts, but you can begin what I just told you. I gave you some examples where you can just start doing something where consistently you will start saying no, so your brain starts to, or your subconscious starts to get signals. It's not that uncomfortable. I can do it. I can, again, first the trusting yourself, I can do it. That's the biggest part of it. Okay, so any other questions for today? So I hope with this session you all have learned something, and also will work on yourself, the exercises I gave you, and just see if any of the changes you see. I'm sure you would. Just do it consistently for 2 weeks. Don't just leave it in between. You can comment below, and of course you can subscribe to my channel. I'll be back again with another topic, giving you all about it so that you get the understanding of of that topic, whether it's scientific or whether it's physiological or in any other areas. So you get a complete understanding why you're doing what you're doing and how you can improve upon. So thank you for being with me today. I'll be back again, and you all have a wonderful day.